This is Wake Up and Lead, a daily podcast where ambitious young professionals learn to lead themselves. I'm your host, Hampton Dorch, and today we are talking about family. Don't lose your family. Your family is a glass ball. What do I mean by that? So I talk about a lot of things on here. I talk about fitness, faith, family, future, fellowship. So think about all these different domains of your life, and it doesn't have to be the F's. Just think about all the things you do, all the things that you spend your time on, all the things that are competing for your attention. So one thing, unfortunately, that happens a lot that I've seen as I look at some of the older people in my life is people think that you've got all these different domains of your life. They think that you have to sacrifice fully one in order for the other. Unfortunately, a lot of times people sacrifice their body for their work. They never work out, or they even sacrifice their body for their family, and they never prioritize fitness, which I would challenge you. If you work on fitness, you will be a better worker, and you will be a better father or husband or wife or mother. That was a little sidebar there. But what I want us to believe, and what I'm trying to believe myself, is that you don't have to fully give up any of these. Now, is it possible to be thriving in all of these areas at one time, firing on all cylinders in all domains of your life? Probably not. You've got to prioritize certain ones for different seasons, but it is possible and necessary to maintain and be intentional in each of these different areas of your life. And a lot of times people will prioritize, like they say, my priorities are faith and then family and then whatever below. I would say, like for me, obviously faith is the most important. I say that some days I don't wake up believing that and I have to remind myself. But family, I also say that's the second most important in my faith. But because I wake up wired to think about self, a lot of times I don't think about my family. I don't think about my wife. I don't think about my kid. I don't think about like the home and the environment and the culture that I'm building in my home. I just think about me and how to make more money or how to feel better that day. And so what's really important is to not drift. You will never drift to your desired destination. And if you don't have intentionality or accountability in these areas, we can drift super far away without even really noticing. And so the reference that I'm making about family being a glass ball is actually something that I learned from one of my friends and coworkers, Josh Swing. He talks about this a lot, where you're juggling all these balls in your life, like all the different things you've committed to, all the different habits, all the different responsibilities that you have. It's a juggle, and like it's not perfect, it's not pretty. Sometimes things get messy, sometimes we mess up, sometimes we don't get to everything. And just like when you're juggling, sometimes you may drop a ball and you may have to start over. And in life, we have days where we do mess up. We're certainly not perfect. But what I really want to challenge you and me to think about is think about your family as a glass ball. And what happens when you drop something that's glass? Well, it shatters, and it's likely unrestorable. And while I don't want us to fully drop the ball in any different area, I do think that there's a higher consequence with family than others. And so I could go in a million different directions with what it would mean to like drop the glass ball. For people who are married, obviously an example of that would be like being unfaithful or going down the path of that whole scenario. That would be an example of that. Or just completely neglecting your children, or not ever listening to your spouse. I think those are some of the like minor things, but over time those snowball into maybe like bigger things. If you're single, dropping the glass ball might be making poor decisions with people that you're not going to be spending the rest of your life with, that could ultimately really affect a potential marriage down the road. Or another way would be, I know people that have ruined relationships with their parents. They never make things right with them, or they just go too far down a road, and it's hard to restore that relationship. And those are the people that like you ideally want to be with on the holidays. Those are the people that like it's hard to get out of your life. And so when it comes to family, think about it as a glass ball. And while I want you to prioritize like every area of your life, just know that sometimes in things like family, the consequences are heavier if you drop it. And so I'm here to tell you, you've got to live with intentionality. You have to live with purpose. And for me, confession to all of you, so often I am a slave to approval from others. And because I know that my family loves me deeply, sometimes they might be the first that I am not my best self around, because I know that they deeply love me, but I'm always my best self around other people. But like when push comes comes to shove, when hard times come, your family is the one that ideally is there for you. And so you want to give them your best. You want to love them well and treat them the way that you want to be treated and everything. So just think of your family as a glass ball and do not drop it. I'll see you tomorrow. Time for you and me to wake up and lead.